The Channel Island National Marine Sanctuary is comprised of protected areas with biological and ecological significance. Conservation is managed to ensure biodiversity of the natural habitats for plants and wildlife. Maritime history and Chumash tribal culture heritage is also preserved and shared with visitors. MPAs like this are substantial in fighting climate change, overfishing, pollution, and saving endangered species. NOAA and California Department of Fish and Wildlife work with research scientists, indigenous people, tourists, commercial fisheries, shipping fleets, and many environmental protection agencies and institutions to monitor and manage anthropogenic influence and ecosystem health. Global warming from increasing atmospheric carbon dioxide changes the pH of the ocean, increases sea temperatures, increases water levels, and increases storm severity. Scientists can monitor acidity, temperature, and chlorophyll levels in this controlled and protected sanctuary islands on an hourly basis. While the reserve can protect against most anthropogenic forces, climate change will still be seen there. However, its effects will be less than unprotected areas. Recommendations are to study calcifying organisms in the Channel Islands most limited by carbon dioxide saturation. Sea urchins, crustaceans, and kelp need calcium carbonate, and ocean acidification slows this process greatly and threatens with hypercapnia. It is also recommended to further fishing gear regulations, both in the sanctuary and surrounding areas. Marine mammals need more policy against fishing gear permitted around their migratory paths, changing rope and net material to biodegradable hemp, and even forcing new gear technology to eliminate lines that entangle whales, dolphins, seals, sea turtles, etc. in the sea column. The Channel Islands is off the southern coast of California, and it provides over 1,400 square miles of protected ocean waters for wildlife. The islands include Anacapa Island, Santa Cruz Island, Santa Rosa Island, San Miguel Island, and down in the south is Santa Barbara Island. The red zones show marine reserves, which are no-take zones. The blue areas are conservation areas that allow commercial and recreational fishing in certain seasons. Here we have the stakeholder map, which includes research scientists, the Chumash tribe, commercial fisheries, the shipping industry, NOAA, and California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Research scientists are leading the way for the rest of the world to study these untouched wildlife preserves, and they are key in helping to save future ecosystems from climate change. The Chumash tribe has been around in the Channel Islands for thousands of years. They are an indigenous maritime culture that inhabited the California coast and the Channel Islands thousands of years before European settlers arrived. One of their most distinctive characteristics is the long boats called tomals, which are made out of the redwoods that grow in California, and the boats can sometimes be up to 30 feet long. Every year, the Chumash journey together in their tomals and paddle the 23 miles from the coast to the Channel Islands in commemoration of their strong connection to the ocean. Commercial fisheries gain a lot of economic value around the Channel Islands. The squid fishery brought in over 10 million in 2003. Kelp harvesting was almost 6 million. Sea urchins was around 4 million, and spiny lobster are some of the top 4 resources that fisheries can get from this area. One of the problems with the fisheries in these areas is that there is a lot of ghost fishing that happens when nets remain in the waters, either from neglect or they just become lost. And large marine mammals and sea turtles get entangled. And we can see how in 2000, it was around 10 all the way up to 2014, but then in 2015 and 2016 there was a lot more entanglements that made this actually a very serious problem, and it could cause extinction of our valued marine mammals. The shipping vessels have a voluntary vessel speed reduction zone to reduce impact of ship strikes on whales. The NOAA strongly recommends that vessels that are registered reduce speed to 10 knots or less. And here we have a chart of the vessels, and there's quite a lot that traverse this area. So it's really important because they still are striking whales, and just recently we had 2 very important humpback whales show up dead on the coast from blunt trauma from vessel strikes. Global warming is affecting everything, and part of global warming, what happens is the saturation or the atmospheric carbon dioxide dissolves into the ocean. With this increase, the carbon dioxide interacts with the water molecules, creating dihydrogen carbonate, which in turn releases hydrogen ions. This would lower the pH of the ocean, causing it to become acidic. And when that happens, the carbonate cannot join with calcium, so it demineralizes and makes it so animals cannot calcify, and this interrupts the food chain and the food web. So here there's an idea. So here we have all the islands, Santa Barbara down here. Recommendations is to keep the same zone of reserve and no take, but we would like to extend conservation areas into the Santa Barbara Channel, the Santa Monica Basin, and to other nearby ocean basins. We need to conserve these areas because they are included in the migratory pathways of the large whales that use the reserve as a refuge. And it's also important to get rid of the large amount of fishing gear trash that is very dangerous for these species to survive with. The Channel Islands provide kelp forests and reserves for endangered species. They are very important for scientists to study and to know what the health is for these baseline environments, what the most natural habitat is. And this is like a natural preserved aquarium lab for scientists so that we know what these ecosystems need to survive. MPAs are essential to safeguard baseline habitat and ecosystems. Their role is pivotal for all wildlife conservation and its borders. The Channel Islands' natural beauty inspires every walk of life to be grateful for our amazing world and the processes of life found therein. The Channel Islands have kelp forests, coral gardens, tropical fish, migrating whales, sea turtles, shipwrecks for diving exploration, and amazing Chumash connections to its properties. In our ever-changing climate, we must do our best to protect biodiversity and educate at local and international levels. The Channel Islands are a treasure of life and adventure. As our seas shift and change from atmospheric carbon dioxide influx, it is critical that we observe as many species as possible. The isolation of the islands has led elephant seals and other species of seal to recover from humans hunting them in the past. These species that were endangered have been able to rebuild their biomass around this location. It's so important that we protect these animals. The International Monetary Fund estimates the value of a single great whale at more than $2 million, which totals more than $1 trillion for the current global population of great whales. The whales are considered to trap more carbon than thousands of trees, states the WWF. Will life subsist with biochemical processes that have taken millennia to evolve or changed? Theories around wildlife moving latitudinally to stay within their temperature range may happen, or they may disappear altogether. The first step is to treat these places as sacred. The second step is to educate and share these places with others. The best thing humans can do is to ensure natural and beautiful wild places for every generation to experience and enjoy.